The Federalist Papers, number 24. The powers necessary to the common defense further considered. Alexander Hamilton. To the powers proposed to be conferred upon the federal government in respect to the creation and direction of the national forces, I have met with but one specific objection, which, if I understand it right, is this: that proper provision has not been made against the existence of standing armies in time of peace. An objection which I shall endeavor to show rests on weak and unsubstantial foundations. It has indeed been brought forward in the most vague and general form, supported only by bold assertions without the appearance of argument, without even a sanction of theoretical opinions, in contradiction to the practice of other free nations and to the general sense of America, as expressed in most of the existing constitutions. The propriety of this remark will appear the moment it is recollected that the objection under consideration turn upon a supposed necessity of restraining the legislative authority of the nation. In the article of military establishments, a principle unheard of, except in one or two of our state constitutions, and rejected in all the rest. A stranger to our politics, who was to read our newspapers at the present juncture without having previously inspected the plan reported by the convention, would be naturally led to one of two conclusions: either that it contained a positive injunction that standing armies should be kept up in time of peace, or that it vested in the executive the whole power of levying troops without subjecting his discretion in any shape to the control of the legislature. If he came afterwards to peruse the plan itself, he would be surprised to discover that neither the one nor the other was the case, that the whole power of raising armies was lodged in the legislature, not in the executive, that this legislature was to be a popular body, consisting of the representatives of the people periodically elected, and that instead of the provision he had supposed in favor of standing armies, there was to be found, in respect to this object, an important qualification, even of the legislative discretion, in that clause which forbids the appropriation of money for the support of an army for any longer period than 2 years, a precaution which, upon a nearer view of it, will appear to be a great and real security against keeping up of troops without evident necessity. Disappointed in his first surmise, the person I have supposed would be apt to pursue his conjectures a little further would naturally say to himself, it is impossible that all this vehement and pathetic declamation can be without some colorable pretext. It must needs be that this people so jealous of their liberties, have, in all the preceding models of the constitutions which they have established, inserted the most precise and rigid precaution on this point, the omission of which in the new plan has given birth to all this apprehension and clamor. If, under this impression, he proceeded to pass in review the several state constitutions, how great would be his disappointment to find that two only of them contained an interdiction of standing armies in time of peace, that the other 11 had either observed a profound silence on the subject, or had in express terms admitted the right of the legislature to authorize their existence. Still, however, he would be persuaded that there must be some plausible foundation for the cry raised on this head. He would never be able to imagine why any source of information remained unexplored, that it was nothing more than an experiment upon the public credulity, dictated either by the deliberate intention to deceive or by the overflowings of a zeal too intemperate to be ingenuous. It would probably occur to him that he would be likely to find the precautions he was in search of in the primitive compact between the states. Here at length he would expect to meet with a solution of the enigma, and no doubt he would observe to himself the existing confederation must contain the most explicit provisions against military establishments in time of peace, and a departure from this model in a favorite point has occasioned the discontent which appear to influence these political champions. He should now apply himself to a careful and critical survey of the Articles of Confederation. His astonishment would not only be increased, but would acquire a mixture of indignation at the unexpected discovery that these articles, instead of containing the prohibition he looked for, and though they had, with jealous circumspection, restricted the authorities of the state legislature in this particular, had not imposed a single restraint on that of the United States. If he happened to be a man of quick sensibility or ardent temper, he could now no longer refrain from regarding these clamors as the dishonest artifices of a sinister, unprincipled opposition to a plan which ought at least to receive a fair and candid examination from all sincere lovers of their country. How else would he say could the authors of them have been tempted to vent such loud censures upon that plan, about a point in which it seems to have confirmed itself to the general sense of America as declared in its different forms of government, and in which it has ever superadded a new and powerful guard unknown to any of them? If, on the contrary, he happened to be a man of calm and dispassionate feelings, he would indulge a sigh for the frailty of human nature, and would lament that in a matter so interesting to the happiness of millions, the true merits of the question should be perplexed and entangled by expedients so unfriendly to an impartial and right determination. Even such a man could hardly forbear remarking that a conduct of this kind has too much the appearance of an intention to mislead the people by alarming their passions, rather than to convince them by arguments addressed to their understandings.